All right. Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everybody, and thank you. I'll just kind of echo what Bill said. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend a little bit of time with us and learn about some of the opportunities that we've got available to us. As you can see on the first slide, I have shades and the smart home opportunity. The premise of this presentation was to discuss the shading opportunity, but I'm going to kind of talk about shades and the smart home as one animal, because really they're kind of a hand-in-hand opportunity, and the whole point of this presentation is really to hopefully get you excited about the opportunity that's out there, but then give you, a little bit of a call to action to do something different, to expand your horizons a little bit, which will then result in you growing your business. So with that, we'll just get started here. So we're going to talk about the drivers of change. You'll see throughout time, obviously, technology changes, things grow, things that used to be common are no longer common, and things that are now common today, nobody would have even dreamed of, 20 years ago. So some of these changes, so these drivers of this change is just the evolution of technology itself. Microchip technology gets better and better, computing technology gets better and better, becomes less expensive as it becomes more commonplace. Market saturation, and what I mean by that, I'll show you some examples, but your customers, on a day-to-day basis, they're getting bombarded with advertisements for different smart home technologies, different creature comfort, features that technology that makes their life easier. So it's everywhere that you go. So the advertising for a lot of what we do is really being done for us, and it just creates an opportunity for us to take advantage of it. And then there's also a lot of environmental pressure, government regulations. We'll get into some of that too. All of these things are not only driving technology in the smart home, but shading is a large portion of that package. So if you look at some of the examples that I've got here of evolutions of technology, well, you look at the gas lamps going to electric lights and the manual cranks, and how many people on this call can remember having to reach over to the passenger side and crank the window crank down? Well, you don't even see cars like that anymore. They don't even offer it because it's just not the standard anymore. And shading, motorized shading is going to get to that point, and there's a lot of reasons behind that, but I feel that it's going to get to that point. So it's an opportunity, again, for you guys to be on the front of this wave of coming technology and coming standardization of the smart home. So out with the old. This is the drivers of technology updates. This is a picture of a guy that developed the first portable cell phone. The design was actually done in 1973, but this was actually very similar to the production model that came out in the early 80s. I don't know if anybody here remembers having these, but I know I had one in my car. It was a hardwired car phone. And you look at these pictures and you kind of chuckle now, but this was the modern technology as recent as 20 years ago, even less than that. The first iPhone was released in 2007. It was just 9 years ago. Try to imagine life without the iPhone. The first Samsung Galaxy came out in 2009. And since 2007, there's been over 900 million smartphones sold in the United States. So I don't want to get into just throwing a ton of statistics at you, but you're going to see some pretty compelling statistics through this presentation. And it really is, again, it's just the evolution of change. It's the evolution of that technology. With the market influencers, you have companies like Apple that are gigantic companies. They're coming out with smart home technologies like the Apple HomeKit. And these types of technologies are meant to integrate with all sorts of home automation devices, from motorized shades to locks to integrating with your alarm system and all those things that you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis. But everywhere you look, if you look at Home Depot, if you do a quick search for smart home or motorized shades, you're going to see multiple options come up for thermostats, for door locks, for home security systems, for simple lighting control packages. Same thing if you go to Lowe's and do that type of search, you're going to get the same thing. This is actually a page off of the Leviton website. They're getting more and more into that type of control, and the next thing I can see them adding is going to be the motorized shades. And the sad thing is, if you go, and this is talking to the saturation of the market. I mean, you go to Costco and you see the same thing. You have like this Link Interactive, create your own alarm and your own home automation system. So there's a lot of companies jumping on this bandwagon and coming out with these types of products, and the reason is because there's opportunity there, and everybody sees that there's this giant opportunity. So here, take a look at Walmart. Anywhere you go, you're going to see smart home, smart home, smart home. It's out there. It's all of your customers are seeing it every day, all day. The good news with that is that through different studies that Lutron is either done or taken results from, we found that 67% of even people that would be considered do-it-yourselfers still would prefer to have a licensed professional or some type of a professional doing the installation of these types of systems. So even though you see a lot of this stuff out there, and look, even Kmart, you can do the same thing. I don't know about you, but I don't want my Kmart Blue Light Special to be my home automation system, but it's out there. It's being advertised. And again, that creates a lot of great opportunity for you guys because most people are not going to be a savvy enough do-it-yourselfer to set up some kind of a complicated system. There's still a lot of value in what you guys have to offer. But, again, the market influence is out there, and all of the advertising is being done for you. So people are just going to really come to expect smart home technology, and, of course, the shades are going to be part of that whole package. When you get into the government regulation and just the energy efficiency, some of you might be familiar with Title 24. It's a California energy code. I'm certainly no expert on Title 24, but I wanted to show this, and I won't go into a ton of detail, but there's some compelling messages in here. If other states are starting to enact energy code policies that require you to have daylight harvesting, that require you to have high efficacy lighting, such as LEDs, very high efficiency lighting, and forcing you essentially to conserve energy, well, obviously lighting control itself is part of that package, but the biggest, brightest light bulb that we have in our solar system is the sun. So if you're going to effectively control light in a space and you're going to control the energy in a space, you have to be able to control the shades in that space too, to be able to control the amount of sunlight that's coming in. So I wanted to just show this. There's a couple of pretty cool statistics in here. World energy consumption is projected to increase by 44% from 2006 to 2030. So certainly California and some other states where energy is a much more expensive product than it is in other places, they're leading the charge in this. But when those types of regulations come out and energy starts to become more expensive to produce and energy consumption continues to grow, you're going to get pressure, and there'll be some form of Title 24 will eventually come to Chicago. And originally, a lot of these regulations stem from the commercial industry because that's where most of the energy is consumed. But a lot of that actually now is starting to trickle down into the residential space as well. Here's just another example. If you look at the United States consumption of energy versus all other countries, we use a lot of energy. So there will be continuing push to conserve energy, and again, part of that is lighting control. Part of that is the smart home with the thermostats. Part of that is controlling the sunlight in a space, because during the summer you can help cool a space by having the shades closed. During the winter you can help warm a space by having the shades open. And using smart home technology and wrapping that into the whole package, you can do daylight harvesting, where your shades are automatically compensating for those temperature changes. They're automatically compensating for the amount of light that's in a space. Just another quick statistic here. So if you look at California's energy consumption versus the rest of the United States, they're again leading the charge, but as regulators across the country look at the consumption of energy and what the cost is to the states to regulate it, to manage that infrastructure, they're going to look for ways to conserve energy. The smart home is part of that. So, again, just another one. Lighting control obviously saves energy. Part of that is taking advantage of natural light. And again, that's where the shades come into that picture, especially if you're dealing in commercial space. But when you get into large residential homes, it's something that's a factor. I mean, there's, the power companies are sending even me to myself. I just bought a brand new home, and I get letters all the time from the power companies offering rebates if you sign up for some kind of an energy savings program, or if you have an automatic power reduction where they go into the peak energy usage hours, if you agree to kick back and dim your lights down, or if you agree to reduce the temperature on your thermostat down, there's rebates available. So again, even those things are constantly keeping this type of smart home technology in the consumer's mind. This is part of what I was talking about with that Title 24, where most of these regulations start in the commercial space, but they are trickling down into residential spaces. And if you look at this slide here, part of the regulation, even in residential space, is that a minimum of 50% of the total wattage of permanently installed lighting fixtures in kitchens must either be high efficacy lighting, meaning like an LED or something that's very highly efficient, or you have to have some type of lighting control, whether it's dimmers or vacancy and occupancy sensing, something like that. But again, if you're wanting to conserve energy and try to meet these requirements, one of the things that you can do is put daylight sensors in and then use the shades to help compensate for the amount of light in the room, so that you're taking advantage of sunlight, keeping your energy costs low. So with all of those things being said, and all of these types of advertising and changes being driven for us, there's a whole lot of opportunity out there in the smart home in general, but in specific in the shading market. The Lutron triangle here, if you ever do any Lutron trainings, you'll see this triangle again. In the middle income and the upper middle income, there's roughly 70 million homes that fit that demographic. Those are all great targets for motorized shades. If you take a look at what the average home has, there's typically one thermostat. There's typically two door locks, front and back. Sometimes there's 3 or 4. Average home has about 22 switches in it. The average single-family home these days has about 20 windows. So if you think about that, there's a huge opportunity, measuring in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and this slide will say billions or even into the trillions of dollars. Now, granted, if you have a home that's got 20 windows in it, are you going to sell 20 motorized shades into that home? Realistically, probably not. If you can, great, you're an amazing salesperson, but the reality is you're not going to. But if you can sell a couple of shades into key areas, then it's a very profitable market for you. And I just wanted to give you a little history while we're doing this. Joel Spira, who founded the Lutron company back in 1986, decided that to effectively control lighting, he needed to also control the sun, so needed to have shades involved. So they began developing the shades. In 1993, Lutron entered the motorized shading business. And the reason that I'm telling you this is that for the first 10 years, Lutron was unprofitable with shades. And that's important because they decided, that it really was important to keep this focus and that it really needed to be part of the whole package. And part of the reason that this is so compelling is that, so for 10 years they were unprofitable. If you looked statistically at Lutron sales specifically, 5 years ago, shades made up about 2% of the overall residential market space. Today, just 5 years later, shades in an average demographic like Chicago or Dallas or LA, shades makes up a little over 50% of the residential business now. So, and that's not a shift away from the lighting control, that's an addition. So Lutron added a significant amount of revenue to their portfolio by adding the shades and sticking with that. And so my point in telling you all of that is that you guys have the opportunity to do the same thing. Yeah, it's tough in the beginning, but once you get your head wrapped around it, you get your conversation down, you have a significant opportunity to grow your business just by adding shades into your product mix. I'm not going to dwell on a lot of these statistics. There's some more things, but the gist of these is, again, that smart home and smartphone technology is just becoming more and more common, and it's getting to the point where it's an everyday thing. This statistic here, if you look down at the second paragraph, they talk about the smart home market during 2014 and saying that the installed base of smart home systems increased by 75% to reach 10.2 million at the end of the year. And 1.8 million of these were multifunction or whole home systems. And what that means is smart technology, including smart shades, and including the other pieces of the puzzle like the thermostats and control systems like that. When you're getting into the opportunity of the shades too, one of the things for shades, for a lot of you guys, shades would be a new business avenue, a new channel to start working on, and that can be a little tough. So you're used to selling distributed audio systems, you're used to selling home theater systems. So what are some of the key things about selling shades? Well, this was a study that was conducted by Lowe's Corporation, and 50% of the people that they polled said that security was by far the top reason that they buy smart home technology and automated systems. Shades play into that. If you're selling alarm systems, part of the integration can be that when the alarm system triggers, the shades open up, go to full open, so it's easier for the police when they come to see in the house. It's easier for the homeowner to see, and hopefully that would scare off a burglar if all of a sudden all the lights go on and all of the shades go to full open. But those are the things that you need to think about when you're having discussions with your customers, just adding value. And again, you don't have to try to sell a whole home full of shades. Realistically, you're not going to do that anyway, but there are key areas or key reasons why a customer might want to add that type of automation to their home. So you have to, just with any of the work that you do, you're trying to listen to what your customers' goals are, and what would really drive them. Millennials, this is just really speaking again to the growing standardization of technology being commonplace in the home. A quarter of millennials have begun building smart homes, and 4 in 10 want one. So basically what they're saying is anybody that was born between 1982 and 2000, which now makes up a quarter of the population, is tech savvy, and they're interested in smart homes, and they're going to expect smart home technology in the homes that they buy, or they're going to be looking to upgrade and do that. So again, the opportunity is huge. It's going to be commonplace in everybody's mind as the government continues to push out regulations. It's going to continue to grow the opportunity. You just have to be able to jump on that and take action on it early on in the game. And then, of course, there's also the whole wow factor of it. I mean, if you're putting in a really nice stereo system for somebody, if somebody can push a button and turn the lights on and off, that's pretty cool. If somebody can push a button and the lights dim down and the shades open to a certain level, or if you're going to watch a movie, the lights dim down, the shades close, I mean, that's pretty cool too. So don't forget to sell on the ego. When I talk about shades, for a lot of people, the entry-level shades qualification, if you will, is going to be the triathlon line of shades. So it's primarily the cellular honeycomb shades and then roller shades. But I do want to just point out that there is a path that you can get on to become full shade certified, and Lutron does offer a full array of roller shades, Romans, Courbets, drapery tracks, and basically the whole gamut of shades, even tension shades for skylights, things like that. Excuse me. So if you get into shades, the message I want you to take away from that is just that you're not limited just to roller shades necessarily. If you have customers that have higher end needs, we have products that can accommodate that. Again, speaking to the opportunity, if you look at not just Lutron but other shade manufacturers as well, if you look at the population, the little red dot in the center of that circle illustrates what the current market penetration is in motorized shades. And that tan circle is the rest of the opportunity. So it really comes down to about 1 out of every 3,200 homes has a motorized shade in it. So there's a lot of homes that don't have them. So again, huge opportunity. Some of the objections, they're too expensive, and some of these objections you hear not only from the homeowner, but I hear these objections from AV integrators, folks like yourself. But the reality is, if you take a look at custom window treatments, they're expensive. They're very expensive. If you compare a Lutron motorized shade to, say, a Q-Motion motorized shade or one of our other competitors, they're all they're all in the same kind of a ballpark. And if you look at custom window treatments, folks that do this solely do window treatments for a living, they're going to be very expensive, and they're the price point between selling a motorized shade from Lutron and getting a custom window treatment, it's negligible. It's pretty close. Certainly, if you have customers that are going to go buy all of their blinds from Budget Blinds or just go to Home Depot and buy blinds, well, yeah, you're not going to compete with that. But don't be afraid to talk about shades because you think that they're too expensive. Because when your customers start shopping around, they're going to find out that what you're proposing really wasn't that expensive. In comparison, it's not expensive. The shades are too hard to learn. Well, it's really, it can be very simple. As I mentioned, the triathlon is the entry-level, basically the entry-level shading system that Lutron offers. We do training classes. We do them on-site at all that, so you're always welcome to come and learn about the shades there. You don't have to be an expert on fabrics. You don't have to be an expert on all of the nuances. There's some basic things that you need to learn to get started in shades. You need to understand things like openness factor, which is essentially the amount of light that the shade is going to let through. You need to be thoughtful of a few things about how visible a room or a space is going to be depending on the type of openness factor or the material that you put on the windows, whether it's a north or south facing facade or an east and west. But that's really, there's not a whole lot to it, and that's what the training class is there for. And then if you're in the Chicago area, I know some people are probably from other areas on the call, but in the Chicago area, I'm available to you as a resource. I'm glad to walk through your first shading job with you. I'm glad to help you in the software when you're building out your shades. So don't be intimidated by getting started in this, because you have great folks at AllNet that'll help you out. And then, of course, you've got me, and I'm willing to handhold you through because I believe in this opportunity, and I really want you guys to succeed in adding another product line into your market. So you'll have the support that you need, and I'm willing to spend time with you. I'll even do client visits with you if need be, just to get you comfortable and get you started. One objection I get is, well, certainly people aren't going to put motorized shades in every window of their house. Is it worth it for me if I'm just going to sell a couple of shades into a house? The average triathlon job is about $3,500, and it's about 5 shades. So, again, not huge, but it's another $3,500 worth of product plus your time to install it. So it can be very profitable. And usually people that are going to buy at least one shade aren't going to buy just one shade. They're going to do several rooms in the house, key areas of the house. I use my mom's house as an example. She's got a couple of shades that are behind the couch, which she loves. First thing in the morning, she goes and she climbs over the couch to open those shades. And then at night, she wants the feeling of security, so she goes and she closes those. So we're going to put some motorized shades just in those 2 windows just for her. And that could be a great, starting point for you dealing with your customers if they have specific needs like that, where they have windows that are just too difficult to reach to open and close shades, but they'd really like to have them open during the day. Training, again, that I'm touching on the nuances that you need to know to feel comfortable about recommending fabrics and shade materials and things like that. Again, don't let that intimidate you. Don't let that stop you from adding this extra line to your business. You've got the support with AllNet. You've got the support with me. Again, we're glad to help you out and want you to be successful and add another product line onto your business. I'm going back to this slide again just to remind you guys, again, when you first get started in it, it'll take you a job or 2 to get comfortable, but if you stick with it, the shading business can significantly grow your business. It's added 50% onto Lutron's business in the residential market, so it is a real opportunity. And if you see all of these other companies that are starting to come out with motorized shades, they're all doing it because they know there's a market there. People are buying them. Somebody is selling them. It might as well be you. So, again, make sure you take advantage of the resources you have available and take that step to add shades to your business mix. That was all I had as far as the presentation goes. My contact information is there. Again, if you're in the Chicago market, certainly reach out to me. There are other rep agents for other regions of the country. So you guys would have to just talk with your folks at AllNet to find out who your Lutron resource is. But if you're in the Chicago area, here's my contact information. Again, feel free. Use me as a resource. I'll help you as much as you need. We really think this is a great opportunity. It's a great time in the market to get involved in this, and we want to help. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, you can please, feel free, enter them in the chat window and read those off to Paul for you. If not, I want to thank everybody for joining, and just keep in mind that, well, first of all, Paul, it was a great presentation, and it really kind of outlines what the opportunity is in the market. So it was very eye-opening. So thanks for putting that together, and it was a lot of work pulling all that detail. The opportunity is huge. Our business at AllNet continues to grow every year in these categories. Shades has been a growing part of our business as well, and anything that we can do on our end to assist you, we'll be happy to do so as well. So with that, it doesn't look like we have any questions coming in. The session will be recorded and posted up to the YouTube channel in the next day or so. And again, I just want to thank everybody for attending.